Good afternoon, guys. Dark Purple Shadow here, and today we're talking about Black Myth Wukong, specifically Chapter 1 of Black Myth Wukong. I'm going to give you my kind of rundown of how I've enjoyed this game so far and how I feel about it thus far. Now, I've played a bit further than Chapter 1. I've pretty much nearly completed Chapter 2 as well. So I have a bit more experience than just somebody who's just pretty much finished Chapter 1. But what I will say is I do like the pacing of this game. The division of each kind of major kind of chapter is lovely. It almost feels like you're reading a storybook. The lore itself is utterly confusing unless you watch a separate video on it, but I have done, and I've been listening to some videos on the lore of this story as I've been playing through each section. I complete chapter 1, listen to the lore. I pretty much get to the end of chapter 2 and I've listened to the lore of chapter 2 broken down on YouTube. And for that reason, I will say, if you look into what this story of the game is based on, amazing. It's actually very well done, and each boss sort of has a purpose within the grand scheme of things. Now, in terms of the gameplay, I will say the gameplay can be quite difficult at times. You do have some tools to help you. However, I would say the early learning curve is very brutal, and especially before you unlock some of the first few abilities and power-ups, it can be quite frustrating, especially if you're used to kind of more different control styles like Elden Ring or Neo. It won't feel as intuitive initially when you jump into the game. But that being said, once you get into the scheme of things, it's not bad at all. And actually, I do like the cinematic dodges in every boss fight. Every boss fight feels kind of epic. There's no kind of hit and miss boss fights. Every kind of major boss that I've fought so far feels like they matter. And that's not something I can say for a lot of games I've played. I really like when you defeat a boss, it has that little screen that says defeated XYZ boss. That is a wonderful little touch, and I think a lot of games should implement something similar. In terms of negatives, like I've said, the learning curve can be a bit steep. I do feel like the difficulty almost gets a bit easier as you're progressing a little bit. I'm not super far into the game, but so far the most challenging boss I've faced personally was probably the Black Wind King, the original one, not the bear, the one before the bear. And the Tiger Vanguard wasn't too easy either. In terms of chapter 1 itself, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the kind of woodland scenario. Going into chapter 2, it was also a beautiful setting. The game is sort of a faux open world where it's not an open world per se, but it's also not kind of set levels. It's kind of large mini open worlds that are divided into chapters, and for that reason I do like it. It's sort of a mix between what Elden Ring has done and what Neo has done, and you do get almost the best of both worlds. I don't feel like it's lacking. A lot of people complained about the invisible walls in this game, but I don't really see that as a big deal. In real life there are invisible walls, well, not invisible walls, there are areas you can't transverse. Historically, there have been regions that have been defined by the fact that there's mountains between them. So for that reason, I'm not really going to hold anything against this game. The actual environments themselves do look very Chinese. It's wonderful how they've encapsulated the entirety of kind of China in just the 2 regions I've seen. And I'm sure they're going to do an even better job of that as you get further into the game. In terms of kind of what I'd like to see more of as I progress through the game, I think the mana costs are a bit sad. The cooldowns of a lot of abilities are very, very long. So especially earlier on in this game, and so far, even as far as I've progressed into chapter 2, you can pretty much only use the abilities once or twice per boss fight. And especially the one ability, which is the Immobilize, which is effectively like a stun. That ability is probably the most useful ability you have. And it can be really annoying where your fights are dictated by how many times you can immobilize the enemy. The dodging itself can feel a little bit clunky at times. Hitboxes can be a bit deceiving marginally, but that's not something that can really be helped. Most games of this kind of nature struggle with that sort of vibe. In terms of overall difficulty, I do think the starting point is far more difficult than Elden Ring. A lot of people say it's easier, but actually at the start I think it's a lot more difficult. I've completed Elden Ring with summons and without, and that game was super hard. I don't think it was impossible to do. Wukong itself doesn't feel impossible. I don't really foresee myself struggling too much as I get into it. But overall, I'm pleasantly surprised. I heard a lot of mixed things about this game. I heard a lot of bad things. I heard that it was too easy by some people. No, I think the difficulty is perfect. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time fighting the same boss over and over again. Eventually, you'll kill most bosses. I think actually it's probably got a pretty amazing difficulty. You can use power-ups and stuff if you want to help yourself a bit more, but nothing feels too much like a crutch. So yeah, that's my current opinion. I will say it is easy to miss things if you're not looking for kind of how to complete certain side quests and stuff. You can lock yourself out of bits and bobs, but I don't think that's too big of a deal. A lot of games, eventually you're gonna have to use a guide or something if you haven't got all the time in the world. I do explore where I can, and I have explored pretty much most of the stuff I could organically discover, but some things and some secrets you have to figure out through guides and play-alongs, etc., which I think adds to the fun of the game. There are always things that you're going to miss out. It just kind of shows how much content they stuffed in. Overall, I'd say it's on the same level for me as Elden Ring and Neo so far, and actually from a lore perspective, it's really amazing. I liked Neo's lore. It was kind of nonsense, but in a fun way. But Wukong, I love the mystic, Buddhist, Confucian influences. I really like it, and for that reason, I have to say so far, I've put in about 12 hours into this game non-stop over the last week and a bit. I really enjoy it. For that reason, I have to say it's one of the best games I've ever played, and I do recommend it if you haven't picked it up. I think it's worth every penny you pay for it. I think it'll probably start going on sale soon. It's been over a year since it's come out, I think. So yeah, please get it if you can. Enjoy, play. I think if there was a co-op element to this game, that would be bloody amazing as well, but it doesn't really tie in with the story itself, so I understand that. I want to try and complete this entire game before Elden Ring Night Rain comes out. Yeah, that's it from me. I'm gonna try and complete this game and then play the DLC of Elden Ring. I don't know how that's gonna work because I haven't played Elden Ring in years now, properly at least. But yeah, any questions, any advice, feel free to put that in the comment section. For now, signing out.